Good morning, everyone. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all our esteemed speakers. Today, each of them is an authority in uveitis and known for the contribution in the field. I would also like to thank the AIOS Scientific Committee for this opportunity for the instruction course, which we have titled Learning from My Mistakes in Uveitis. I'll be proceeding with my talk on how not to confuse VKH and CSC. So broadly, VKH and CSC are both choroidal pathologies. VKH is a primary stromal choroiditis caused by an autoimmune reaction against tyrosinase-like proteins in melanocytes in the uvea, inner ear, meninges, and the integumentary system. CSC, on the other hand, occurs because of choroidal vascular hyperpermeability, resulting in fluid leakage at the level of the retinal pigment epithelium. So what are the common features? Both of them are choroidal disorders and can have common clinical manifestations such as serous retinal detachment and leakage from RPE on FA. CSC can therefore often be misdiagnosed as VKH, particularly when it presents with bilateral serous retinal detachments and increased choroidal thickness on EDI OCT. So what are the tools that we have to differentiate the two conditions? The most commonly performed test after fundus examination is OCT and followed by angiography, both FA and ICGA, and more recently, OCT angiography. So I will be discussing this case to illustrate a couple of these modalities and how they help in differentiating VKH and CSC. This was a 41-year-old male. He presented recently to me with sudden diminution of vision in both eyes. Vision was 6 by 120 in both eyes with visual acuity of with intraocular pressure of 13 and 14 millimeters of mercury. Anterior segment was within normal limits. There was no AC cellular reaction or flare. This is the posterior segment picture of the patient showing media clarity grade 1. There was no vitritis. The discs were normal and we had presence of serous retinal detachment in both eyes. Had this been a unilateral case, my first differential would have been CSC, but because of the bilaterality, there was a diagnostic confusion. So we went ahead with the OCT of the patient passing through the macula. And here we can see there is presence of the subretinal fluid. And along with that, we also see presence of this intraretinal collection. And what this actually is there is presence of a split at the level of the inner segment myoid. And we can see the ELM draping over the roof of this intraretinal split in the myoid zone. So this has been described as the basilarity layer detachment, and it points towards inflammatory pathology. This is the other eye of the patient where we can see a similar subretinal fluid and the split in the inner segment myoid or the basilarity layer detachment. And there has been a publication recently from the PGI group with the largest series of acute VKH disease with basilarity layer detachment. So this OCT itself pointed towards a diagnosis of VKH, and I was pretty sure that this patient needs steroids for the treatment. So just to emphasize that how OCT helps in differentiating VKH and CSC. In CSC, we have subretinal fluid without the presence of basilarity layer detachment. It has not been described so far in CSC except a case of inflammatory CSC, which was associated with the underlying diagnosis of SLE. And CSC usually has serous PEDs and localized RPE bulges. And on the other hand, VKH is associated with presence of RPE folds and RPE undulations. And we may even see choroidal granulomas in VKH on EDI OCT. So coming back to the patient, this was the fluorescein angiogram of the patient. The right scan is a bit decentered, but we can make out these hypofluorescent round lesions in the superior part of the macula. And in the left eye, what's important is to look for these subtle RPE leakages in the peripapillary area, and we can see them more prominently in the temporal part of the macula. And this is the mid phase where we can see a presence of multiple round hyperfluorescent lesions throughout the macular region. And in the left eye also, we have these round hyperfluorescent lesions suggestive of choroidal stromal inflammation. And we can also see that the RPE leakages have become more prominent in the peripapillary area. And this is the late phase showing the pooling of the dye in both eyes. So this clinched the diagnosis of VKH, and the patient was treated with IV methylpred and oral steroids. And this is the fundus photograph 5 days after the initiation of treatment. And there is significant resolution of the subretinal fluid, and the bacillary layer detachment has also disappeared now. His vision improved to 636 by 612 in just 5 days. Now, this is the second case of a 35-year-old female who presented with a unilateral diminution of vision in her left eye. She had no AC reaction, no vitritis, and this media haze is because of presence of posterior subcapsular cataract. So the OCT of the patient showed presence of subretinal fluid, and the lower panel, this is showing presence of this peripapillary RP bulge with the oval area of hyporeflectivity, suggestive of a choroidal granuloma. There is presence of a subretinal fluid here and a similar bacillary layer detachment split at the level of the myoid zone in this patient also. So this OCT itself is indicative of the underlying pathology. Of course, we have to rule out other infectious causes of granulomatous uveitis. But once we have done that, when it's the question of differentiating between VKH and CSC, these findings on OCT clearly go in favor of VKH. So this is the combined FA ICG of the patient. The FA is showing the hypofluorescent lesions, which are much more in number, and they are prominent on ICG. And in the late phase, FA shows the hypolesions turning into hyperfluorescence and with pooling of the dye on. And on ICG, we can see the persistence of the hypofluorescent lesions, suggestive of full thickness choroidal granulomas. Now, this has this sort of choroidal stromal inflammation, diffuse choroidal stromal inflammation, has been described as one of the essential diagnostic criteria now for the diagnosis of acute new onset VKH disease. In this recent publication by Herbert et al. For the diagnostic criteria for initial onset VKH disease. So we should look for this kind of features of choroidal stromal inflammation on ICG. And if we find these features like early choroidal stromal hyperfluorescence or fuzzy choroidal vessels and presence of hypofluorescent dark dots on ICG, it clinches the diagnosis of VKH. And coming to OCT angiography, this is a very useful non-invasive tool and it can help in the acute stages of VKH where it shows multiple dark foci of flow deficit, suggestive of choriocapillaris hypoperfusion. And in the previous patient, this is the FA-ICG, and this is the OCT angiography on fast image at the level of the choriocapillaris, which shows these dark round areas of flow deficit, which correspond exactly with the areas of hypofluorescence on ICG, which basically correlate with the choroidal granulomas. So these areas, dark areas seen on OCT angiography, represent true choriocapillaris hypoperfusion. And as we can see on the structural on-fast image, there is no signal loss. So this is true flow deficit representing OCT angio. So just to conclude that in CSC, OCT angio will show these dark areas, but they do not represent flow deficit. Rather, they are just due to signal loss because of presence of PED or subretinal fluid. So my take-home messages, there are just a few key points that one should keep in mind. On OCT, presence of bacillary layer detachment, RPE folds, and undulations indicate VKH, whereas serous PEDs are in favor of CSC. On FFA, early pinpoint RPE leaks are present in VKH and should be differentiated from the expanding dot sign of CSC. Disc hyperfluorescence is helpful criteria when present, and it goes in favor of initial onset VKH. On ICGA, presence of diffuse stromal choroiditis in the form of hyperfluorescent dark dots or fuzzy choroidal stromal vessels is a sign in favor of VKH. It's the most important, in fact, it's the key feature of acute initial onset VKH. And on OCT angiography, areas of flow deficit depicting choriocapillaris ischemia is a useful non-invasive tool. to differentiate the two conditions. Thank you.